These long dog days of summer, I mean, we just made it through a heat wave. Mama was parched through this heat wave. I was hitting up Duncan every single day, and I will continue to probably for the rest of my days, but especially this summer. Duncan is helping everyone stay cool this summer with its lineup of refreshers. These drinks are packed with bold, fruity flavors and served ice cold. It's amazing. Dunkin' refreshers are the perfect afternoon pick-me-up. I like to start my morning with them personally, and then sometimes I go back for a second one because I'm just feeling crazy. They come in a variety of delicious flavors, including fan favorites mango pineapple and strawberry dragon fruit. And then for a limited time, there's black cherry and there's pink pineapple. I'm going to tell you something right now, and it's a bold claim, let me tell you, but I stand behind it. Pink pineapple will change your life. It is so good. It has me feeling like I'm sitting in a pool, resort side, just living, honey. It's so yummy. Try your favorite flavor with green tea, sparkling water, lemonade, or Dunkin's all-new limeade. I haven't tried the limeade yet, but I'm going to. Usually I get my drinks made with green tea and occasionally lemonade, but I do really like the green tea. Or if you don't want to build your own, try one of Dunkin's curated refreshers like the Cherry Lime Ricky or the Ultimate Pink Daydream. The Cherry Lime Ricky, scrumptious. I could drink like 3 of these a day. They're so freaking yummy. Head to Dunkin' today and find your favorite refresher. Dunkin' refreshers contain less than 1% fruit juice. Limited time offer.
Okay, imagine this. A honeybee is out here doing her thing in an orchard, lands on a mystery apple blossom, then carries that pollen over to a Honeycrisp tree. Fast forward a few months, and no exaggeration, something amazing is born. The Sugar Bee apple, packed with notes of honey, caramel, and molasses, plus an extra crisp crunch. Sugar Bee apples are perfect for snacking, baking, and everything in between. Download our new free recipe book and find a store near you at hellosugarbee.com. Sugar Bee apples, naturally sweet, from bee to you.
You know, recommendations can be great. Maybe someone recommended this podcast, and here you are. But home projects are different. If a podcast isn't your thing, you lose a few minutes. If you hire your cousin's neighbor to mount your TV, you might end up with a lopsided screen and wall damage. Maybe I know a guy just isn't enough for your home. That's why Thumbtack works. It matches you with top-rated local pros with photos, reviews, and credentials all in one place. For your next home project, try Thumbtack. Hire the right pro today.
Hey, weirdos. I'm Ash.
And I'm Elena.
And this is Morbid.
This is morbid.
This is morbid.
This is pretty morbid.
What's up, Big Red?
It's been busy.
Yeah, it has been busy.
It's been busy. It's been good.
Yeah.
Everything outside of this house is pretty ratchet. But in here, pretty good.
Yeah. In here, it's all right. We do want to rearrange our room a little bit.
We are going to rearrange the pod lab.
In here, it's actually also pretty ratchet.
Yeah, like this room specifically.
Ratchet.
Yeah, pretty rough.
Yeah. We just got to move some stuff around. That's all.
Yeah.
You know, when like you worked at a really terrible place for a long time and then like things remind you of working at that time. This is hypothetical. Things remind you of working there.
Yeah.
And then you just want to change everything about the time in your life where your room looked like that.
Yeah, because when it was like the worst time of your life working at that place where you were breaking down every day and crying and screaming and wanting to quit. That energy hangs out in a place, I think.
And you can only salt the rug so much.
You can only salt
for
the rug.
those
you can
of you
only
that
Palo
say
Santo the room so many times.
Oh. Hypothetically, Palo Santo was keeping my life together.
It sure was, hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
But now that we're so happy and vibey,
the room's got to match the vibe.
The room needs to be happy and vibey.
So
it
we
was
have
cluttered
to
with all the
dankness.
with our tortured souls for a little while. So
yeah, allegedly.
And what we began with that I think really made a difference was Ash got me potato slippers.
I did.
Slippers that look like a potato with a face and 2 little feet.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never been happier with a pair of slippers in my life.
You're welcome.
And so I think this is the beginning of something beautiful in here.
I got croissant slippers, but I left them at home. We're wearing slippers in the office. It's a new thing.
Office slippers.
Office slippers, of course. I'm wearing big old cheetah ones that Drew got me, and I love them.
Yep.
But I also want to wear my croissant slippers.
Yeah, Deb has some bear slippers.
Yep, I got her bears.
We got to get Mikey
slippers.
Some appropriate slippers.
They didn't have animal ones the place I was looking for a man's feet.
Yeah, a man's feet. But yeah, that's what we have to say to you guys.
That's our business for today. Get yourself some office slippers, and when your boss says, "What the fuck are you doing?" say, "Don't worry about it.
Don't fucking worry about it."
Say allegedly, fuck off.
Yeah,
just kidding. You'll
Who
get
gives
fired.
a shit?
Don't do that.
Who gives a shit? And also, continue trying to do those little romanticizing your life things.
Absolutely.
As the world gets crazier,
get
more romantic.
I got a little romantic with my bedtime. I have been, and it didn't do a lot for me last night, but 2 nights ago, this really helped me, and I just need to get into doing it, I think, more consistently. I got the Hatch alarm clock.
Oh, I love my Hatch alarm. This is not an ad.
It's not an ad, but they were nice enough to send us them.
They did.
And I was nice enough to give mine to Debbie and Mikey. And then Drew, because I knew that Drew got me one for Christmas.
Yeah.
I accidentally saw that on our bank statement. And anyway, I started doing the meditations, the nighttime meditations.
Yeah, they have some cool ones.
And I fell asleep, literally just meditating.
Yeah.
And I want to do it every night before bed. It's life-changing.
I love my sunrise alarm. And again, not an ad.
No,
We're
not an
just
ad.
Literally loving our Hatch alarm.
I love them so much. I really love the bedtime meditations. Last night, I fucked myself over because I'm trying to get more fiber in. And I said, you know what a fun way to do that is? Let's have some fucking dark chocolate, bitch. And I had some dark chocolate before bed, and I forgot that has caffeine in it.
Oh, it does.
And
You're
so
right.
I was wide awake.
Wide awake.
It was rough.
I set my Hatch alarm to, again, not an ad. I don't know why I keep saying my Hatch alarm. I set my alarm to this Gatsby jazz, slow.
I tried
because
that
I've been
one.
telling you guys the slow morning jazz, which I did share the playlist a bunch of times on my story, but I think people kept missing it. I feel like
Share
at
it
this
again.
point I should just put it on my grid.
You know what you can do, actually? And if you don't want it on your actual grid, do a highlight.
Oh, there you go. I'll try to do that.
Yeah.
So if you guys are still looking for that, and I'll keep adding to it, I'll put it in my highlights.
I'll show her
so
how
you
to
can
do
find
it.
Yeah, the youth will show me how to do it.
I got you.
But yeah, so there's a setting on it on the alarm that you can wake up to slow, and it's literally called Morning on West Egg.
It's gorgeous.
And it is such a good way to wake.
And you can also pick the colors that you wake up to.
Yeah.
And seriously, this isn't an ad. I swear to you.
People are gonna be like, this is an undisclosed ad.
No, we actually have to tell you if it's an ad. It's really not. And just to end the conversation there, I'm just obsessed with it.
Yeah.
It's really changed shit, and it makes it a lot easier to wake up in the morning.
Yeah, it's little stuff like that I think we all need.
Yeah,
Little things that make you happy.
If you can't get a Hatch alarm right now, romanticize your life in other ways. Just get a pretty glass to put your drink in at dinner.
Yes. In fact,
Tell me
one last thing before we get into this.
Did you just get new glasses?
If you go if you can find them anywhere. They're little water carafes. If you look at an antique-y looking one, and it's the glass is on top of it. If you put it on your nightstand, or even just in your living room as
Stop.
it makes you drink more water.
It does.
Because you'll want to finish that carafe.
It does.
Because you don't want it sitting out.
Just know that you'll be peeing in the middle of the night.
You'll be peeing.
Join me.
But also, you will feel like a fancy, noble
Diva.
woman.
And that's the difference between us, noblewoman / diva. I literally almost bought one off the TikTok shop the other night, but then I was like, is this too trendy? Because it was cherry. It was a cherry, which was cute, but I like what you're putting down over there.
If you
I
look
like
at
the vintage vibe.
Look at an Art Deco,
Yes.
Gatsby era,
my God.
1920s looking carafe. You can get them pretty cheap. You can look on Amazon, you can look wherever you want, but you can find a lot of different styles,
Yeah.
and you can make, and they look so fancy and so expensive, but they're not.
They do.
And it's just one little thing to add a little bit of whimsy and a little bit of luxury looking shit.
Also, I'm here to say
worth
it.
it.
If you have a guest bedroom, put it in your guest bedroom because it
yes.
says, I have my shit together.
It does. Even when you don't.
I love putting together a guest bedroom when somebody's coming over and making it just bougie as fuck.
Hell yeah.
I love it. Not that I ever have people over,
I was
but
going to say, I never have people over. But
very rarely, but when I do, I go for it.
yeah. So that's just little things, you know?
Yeah, I need to...
You guys said you liked like having little things to
romanticize.
To just romanticize. So that's why I'm trying to offer it whenever I can.
I have these cups that I got like vintage shopping or like thrifting. And they're so pretty. They're like beveled glass. And then they have like this on the rim. It's like this thick border.
Yeah.
That's like gold leaf almost.
Ooh, pretty.
And I want to find more of them because I only have 4.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to find them. And I love thrifting, but that's the only issue is that it's not mass produced and I want more of it.
Because now you can find more. Like
now
you're going to be looking.
I know. I'm on the hunt. So if you see anything like that, let me know.
It's true.
All right, let's get into it. So we are still talking about the murder of Olga Kupczyk.
Yes.
And if you didn't listen to part 1 and you're here for part 2, that's silly. I'm not judging you, but I'll fill you in, okay? Yeah. So Olga married Frank after meeting him while his mom was in the hospital where Olga was a nurse and she literally took care of his mom.
Yes.
And he was like, oh my God, you're gorgeous. You're taking care of my mom. Let's date.
You're a catch.
Elizabeth, Frank's mom, is obsessed with him and essentially wants to be married to him. So she hates Olga and she secretly annuls their marriage after they get married.
And Frank's like acting like a poussoir.
Yeah, Frank is the poussoir of the century in this case.
Thank you.
Olga gets pregnant in the middle of all this and unfortunately and incredibly sadly, she goes missing at 8 months pregnant.
Jesus.
Now, coincidentally, Elizabeth, while she's being looked at and kind of questioned a little bit, she admits that she was getting blackmailed around this same time, and she points toward this man, Louis Moya, but refuses to sign a formal complaint, and the way she identified him was super weird.
Yeah.
She identified him, the police sent her home with like a bunch of mugshots, which I have to think they don't do anymore.
Yeah.
When I first read that, I was like, what?
They're just like, go home and look at these.
And they're like, here's a book of criminals, look at them. But so she identified him in the mugshot and then didn't identify him in a lineup. But Frank had seen the mugshots and he was like, isn't that the guy literally right there?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, gee whiz,
I guess.
it is. But then she wouldn't sign anything. So the police were like, what's going on here?
Something's weird.
They were kind of at a dead end. And now they're frustrated by Elizabeth's stonewalling. So they went back to her friend Emma Short, the only other person who seemed to have any insight into what the fuck was going on
Come on, Emma.
Because remember, Emma would go to the Tropical Cafe, who was owned by the people that Elizabeth said were blackmailing her.
Yeah.
So at first, Emma refused to speak to the detectives and suggested that Elizabeth had actually told her not to talk to the police about anything.
Oh.
But in her protests, Emma inadvertently mentioned something that caught Detective Henderson's attention. The annulment.
Oh, I was waiting for that to be discovered.
Yeah. Until that point, investigators actually hadn't heard anything about an annulment. And actually, if Emma hadn't brought it up on accident, there was a good chance it actually would have gone unnoticed for probably forever, to be honest.
Probably.
But now that it was out, there was no going back, and Emma knew it. So Emma explained to the detectives that she only went with Elizabeth and Ralph to see the lawyer and go to the courthouse. So she was there for some of it. But she insisted that she played no role in the scheme. She was simply there. But she
simply let it happen.
Yeah, exactly. I just didn't do anything.
Didn't say anything to anyone.
I didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
So she knew all the details. And in early December, she ended up telling the police everything she knew about Elizabeth and Ralph posing as Olga and Frank. Soon, the conversation shifted toward the Esquivels who owned the Tropical Cafe and the people who Elizabeth claimed was blackmailing her. The topic seemed to make Emma uncomfortable when it was brought up, not because she was just simply afraid of the blackmailers, but it seemed like she was afraid of Elizabeth, actually, her friend.
Yeah, probably.
So now convinced that there was a lot more going on with this whole thing than anybody was willing to tell him, Detective Henderson suggested that they continue their conversation at the police station. And once they were there, Emma finally came out with the truth.
Yeah, Emma.
So according to Emma, when the annulment failed to end Frank and Olga's relationship because Frank just didn't do anything about it, Elizabeth took the next step in her plan, and she actually approached Esperanza Esquivel for help.
What the
So the very woman she's saying is blackmailing her, she turned to for help. It was Esquivel who introduced Elizabeth to Louis Moya, who she had identified, and another man, Gus Baldonado. The plan was that the two men would kidnap Olga from the apartment and take her to Mexico, where they would kill her. Mind you, she's 8 months pregnant. And dump her body.
This is her daughter-in-law who is 8 months pregnant with her grandchild.
Yeah. But
Elizabeth?
she doesn't...
she's not recognizing that that baby is her grandchild. She is like, oh, Olga got pregnant by another
But you know
man.
what? She knows it is.
Absolutely, she
There's
does.
nothing in me that believes that she doesn't know that's her grandchild.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, like, she's so gross that she's, like, making up all these rumors.
She is such a... wow.
She's a twat.
Wow. She's a twat.
She is. So, in fact, Emma told the detectives that Elizabeth had actually tried multiple times to find somebody to kill Olga before finally making the deal with Lewis and Gus. First, if you remember, we talked about it in part 1, she tried to convince a woman, Barbara Reed, to do it, throw acid in her face and throw her off a cliff.
Jesus.
But that fell apart when Barbara went to Frank and was like, hey, I think your mom's losing her fucking mind.
Yeah.
Then, after the annulment, she went back to Ralph Winterstein and offered him a very large sum of money, but he was like, nah, I don't want to kill anyone. But I'm also like, you also could have gone to the police.
Yeah.
So the list of people that Elizabeth approached also included one of Frank's former clients.
Jesus.
And then just another woman named Becky, who she recently met. And she told Elizabeth that she could find somebody to help her, but she just never ended up coming through.
I love that this woman is just Becky.
Yeah, just Becky with the murderous
I tried to get
tendencies.
Becky to do it, but she didn't do it.
Forget Becky with the good hair.
Don't ask Becky to do that. Like, don't do that.
Becky will not come through. But also, you have to think of the amount of people that she approached to murder her daughter-in-law, and none of them were like, 911, I'd like to tell you something.
This lady's trying to get somebody to kill her daughter-in-law who's pregnant.
Like, hello? So according to author Deborah Holt Larkin, that's the real tragedy of the story. Olga didn't have to die. So many people knew.
Yeah, they should all be ashamed of themselves.
So the story was obviously compelling to the detective, and all the pieces seemed to fit. He was like, oh shit, we're really making headway here. But in order to arrest Elizabeth, they needed something a little more concrete. For the time being, the district attorney in Santa Barbara asked the detectives to continue pursuing the case. And in the meantime, he was going to call the district attorney in Ventura County, Roy Gustafson, and report the fake annulment and the imprisonment and the impersonation, If nothing else, that would be enough to hold Elizabeth until they could track down Louis Moya and Guy Baldonado.
Yeah.
So the next day, Detective Henderson and his partner started rounding up Esperanza Esquivel, Louis Moya, and Gus Baldonado. Under the threat of being charged as a co-conspirator, Esperanza basically said, yeah, everything that Emma told you is true.
Jesus.
She was like, she approached me. She needed somebody to get rid of her daughter-in-law. I showed her Louis and Gus, but that's where my part in all of this ended.
She's like, so I'm completely innocent.
Exactly.
Obviously.
She's like, I just introduced her to 2 hitmen.
Yeah.
What was that to do?
I didn't do anything else.
I have a tropical
what
cafe
she did
to
from
run.
there, not my business.
Like, oh, okay.
Like, okay, did you think they were just going for coffee? Like, what the fuck, everybody?
You knew
what
everything
is
that was
wrong with
happening.
everybody here?
Agreed. She also informed them of one other detail. In exchange for Olga's murder, Elizabeth offered the 2 men $6,000.
Jesus.
Which is a little more than $67,000 today.
Shit.
Which, like, it's a lot of money, but, like, to kill somebody?
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello?
You know that feeling when you come home late from work and those puppy dog eyes just pierce right through your soul? Or when you're packing for a trip and your cat refuses to leave your suitcase? Yeah, we've all been there. Pet parent guilt is real. And you know what? It's completely normal. That's exactly why Hill's Pet Nutrition exists. They understand that being a pet parent means being human, with all of our imperfections and daily juggling acts. Hill's science-led nutrition helps you give more love than humanly possible. Whether it's those long work days or trying to balance attention between multiple pets, Hill's Pet Nutrition gets it. They've created science-based nutrition that supports your pet's lifelong health so you can feel confident even when life gets hectic. Because you're only human, there's Hill's. Science does more. Ready to let go of the guilt? Find the right food at hillspet.com/podcast. That's hillspet.com/podcast. Do you remember in school when you just knew that your teacher had a favorite of everything? They would always use the same blue dry erase marker when they wrote on the board, or they would talk nonstop about their favorite element during science. I had a teacher once that literally had a favorite brand of marker. She would only write with specific markers, and if another marker ended up in her classroom, she was TO'd. And honestly, I was probably her favorite student because at the end of the year, I got her that specific brand of marker. Let's talk about their real favorite thing though, their favorite tissue brand. Kleenex. According to Teacher List, they are the #1 facial tissue trusted by teachers. Kleenex Ultra Soft tissues are silky soft to help prevent skin irritation, and now you can take them anywhere with Kleenex Snap and Go. I
absolutely love Kleenex Snap and Go. It's so perfect to have that in your car. I had a cold last week and I was just, honey, my nose was a faucet. I hate to do this to you, but it was disgusting. Drew literally came out of our garage with like 15 of the Kleenex Snap and Goes, and I put those in my glove compartment, and honey, they were easy access. It was so nice knowing that I didn't have to blow my nose into like an old wrapper that I had. Ew. So do the best thing for your kids' teachers and stock up on the ultimate classroom favorite. Maybe it'll make them their teacher's favorite student. They definitely have a favorite. Don't even get me started because, again, you know it was me. For whatever happens next, grab Kleenex. This is a paid ad by BetterHelp. I happen to be somebody that struggles with people pleasing. So a lot of times I will build things up and up and up and up and up and then kind of get to the point where I'm like, I need to let this out to this person. Even in 2026, that stigma and just stigma in general can get in the way of a lot of things, like getting support for your mental health. Maybe you've encouraged friends to consider therapy while avoiding taking that first step yourself because you're busy. You're worried about what other people might think, or telling yourself that you should handle this all alone. But therapy with BetterHelp, the world's largest online therapy platform, can be a space to slow down and talk through what's been building before it feels unmanageable. Just take a short questionnaire to identify your needs and preferences, and BetterHelp will handle the initial therapist matching work for you. Their industry-leading match rate means BetterHelp typically gets it right the first time. Feel confident knowing BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully qualified. Don't let hesitation hold you back. Find support with BetterHelp. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/morbid. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/morbid. When he got back to his desk, Henderson found a note from a patrol officer in the traffic division asking that he return his call. So the officer told Henderson he was holding a guy named Chico Rojo on a DUI, and Rojo actually seemed to know something about Gus Baldonado.
There's so many people involved in this.
It's a lot of people. According to Rojo, he had loaned his car to Baldonado and Moya a few weeks earlier, and when they returned it, the upholstery in the back seat was ripped and burned.
Oh my God.
At the time, the car was at the impound lot because obviously the guy was drinking and driving. But when they went to take a look, the back seat had definitely been destroyed. But it was obvious from the specks of dried blood that somebody had clearly tried to get rid of evidence.
Oh no.
It's crazy how this is all just like lining up.
Yeah.
Though. He gets like one piece of information and then
like
it's
following
slowly.
breadcrumbs.
Exactly. So while investigators kept putting the pieces together and going over the growing body of evidence, Henderson and his partner went to Frank Duncan's house and arrested his mother.
Good.
Yeah. The following day, Elizabeth was charged with 4 felony counts, including charges of fraud, forgery, and impersonation. Despite the evidence against her, she refused to cooperate, which I'm sure is so hard to believe.
Because she's a bitch.
And she just said that she was innocent and was being blackmailed.
Yeah.
She didn't even say she was a bitch.
No, she just knew
But you
it.
know what? We know.
We knew it.
She's a bitch.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth Duncan might not have been talking, but her co-conspirators were a lot more forthcoming.
Of course.
Having been identified by Emma Short and Esperanza Esquivel as one of the men hired by Elizabeth to get rid of Olga, and also having now been linked to the bloody vehicle, it didn't take long for Gus to confess and implicate everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
According to Gus Baldonado, he and Lewis met with Elizabeth, who was with Emma, by the way.
Oh,
so Emma knew about this.
They're always trying to get themselves further away from it. And I'm like, you're going to get caught.
It's like you were literally there.
Yeah.
They met at the Tropical Cafe on November 13th, and they established that she would pay them $3,000 when they killed Olga, and another $3,000 within 3 to 6 months, like when she could get the money.
What a complete piece of shit.
Truly. All of them.
Yeah.
The plan was that they would kidnap Olga from her apartment and take her to Tijuana, where they would kill her and dump the body.
An 8-month pregnant woman.
Yep. So on the night of November 17th, after Olga's friends left for the night, Lewis and Gus went to her apartment, and Lewis went up and knocked on the door, which is where the landlord or the landlady heard the footsteps.
Oh, yeah.
When Olga came to the door, Lewis told her Frank was in the car and he was really drunk and they needed help getting him inside. So they preyed upon her.
And also, no grown men need
Needs
your help.
Nope.
No.
No,
Especially when you're 8 months pregnant.
Hell no.
Nope.
But obviously she's worried about her fiance.
Yeah,
Or
this is
excuse me,
not
she's
her
worried about her
fault.
husband.
Yeah.
So she's like, oh shit, like let me help you.
Yeah.
So in the car, Gus was sitting in the back seat posing as Frank.
But when Olga got down to the car and opened the door in the back, Louis hit her in the back of the head with the butt of his gun, and Gus pulled her into the back seat as Louis drove away. This is so violent.
It is.
Along the way, they stopped the car because she was struggling so much that Louis hit her again with the gun and then taped her hands, ankles, and mouth.
Holy
She went through hell. So they planned to drive her to Mexico, but they had car trouble when they reached Ventura County. So they stopped in Ojai and pulled the car off the road by Casitas Pass, a culvert that ran under the road. They used the gun as a club several more times, which then caused it to jam, so they couldn't use it anymore. So they then took turns strangling Olga until they no longer felt a pulse. Assuming she was dead, they dug a shallow grave and they tossed her body in there, covered her with dirt, and then drove the car back to Santa Barbara.
Holy shit.
Once there, that's where they tore the upholstery and tried to destroy the blood evidence, and then just went back, called Elizabeth, and told her the job was done.
Wow.
Yeah, just went about their lives.
They just went about their lives, and Elizabeth just said, okay, good.
Thanks for killing my
daughter-in-law, pregnant daughter-in-law
and my grandchild.
The wife of my son.
Yep.
Thanks for doing that.
NBD.
Yep.
On December 21st, Gus Baldonado actually led police to the culvert in Ojai where they had buried the body, and Olga's remains were disinterred and taken back to Santa Barbara. This is horrible. When the medical examiner performed the autopsy, it was obviously noted that Olga was pregnant and that she'd suffered several blunt force traumas to the head, as well as having been manually strangled. But the cause of death was listed as suffocation, such as would be produced by being buried alive.
Oh, shit.
She wasn't fully dead. She wasn't dead.
She was buried alive.
She was buried alive.
Holy shit.
Yeah. You can only hope that she was unconscious.
That's horrific.
Because her pulse was so faint, or they didn't think they felt a pulse anymore when they buried her. But she was alive when she was buried.
That is horrific.
Yeah. And pregnant. Please don't forget that.
Holy shit.
So when Louis Moya was confronted with the evidence, witness statements, Baldonado's confession, all of it, he too confessed. And he confirmed that he had also been hired by Elizabeth Duncan. And he also confirmed that while she had given him, the two of them, a few $100s as an upfront payment, which she got from pawning some jewelry, she hadn't given them the money that she promised them when they were hired.
She wasn't gonna.
So they did all this for nothing.
Yeah. I mean, she's an asshole through and through. Like, she's not gonna
follow
She's
through.
not gonna come through with anything.
No. Now, on December 21st, the district attorney, Roy Gustafson, charged all three with first-degree murder, kidnapping, and conspiracy to commit murder, among other things, and bail was set at $100,000. According to Deborah Holt Larkin, Roy Gustafson had political ambitions, and he had actually been looking for a case that would elevate his prominence. So he was eager to prosecute Elizabeth and her co-conspirators in what would be a death penalty case.
Damn.
Yeah. When the updated charges were announced in the press, he took full credit, saying, "I was tired of waiting for somebody to do something with this case, so I ordered my men to question Baldonado." Unfortunately, in his enthusiasm to prosecute the killers, the district attorney had forgot to inform Olga's family that her body had been discovered.
Oh my God.
It was only when reporters called the house that evening that Olga's family learned she was in fact dead and had been murdered.
Holy shit.
Yeah. A reporter for the LA Times wrote, Mrs. Kupczyk answered the phone, insisting on being told what the call was about. When she was told, she moaned and left the telephone.
Oh.
That's the kind of shit that you're like, don't report on that.
That's horrific.
Like, I get,
Yeah.
like, certain things need to be reported on, but, like,
You
nobody
feel-
deserves to
yeah.
know what her initial
that's awful.
response was to finding that
Yeah,
out.
that's really awful.
Now, from her jail cell in Ventura County, Elizabeth Duncan continued to say she was innocent. She maintained that she was a victim of blackmail, even though all of the evidence was pointing to the contrary. Gustafson told a reporter, "As far as I'm concerned, the only reason Moya and Baldonado sought some money from Miss Duncan was because they wanted the pay they were promised for the job they did." So she's saying, like, I was being blackmailed. And he's like, no,
They just
you
wanted-
hired them to kill your daughter-in-law and they were looking for payment.
Yep.
Which is not...
They're all shitty.
It's just horrible all the way around. But you're not a victim in
yeah,
this.
exactly. You were not a victim.
So less than a week later, Gustafson presented the case to the grand jury, calling on almost a dozen witnesses. So all of whom testified that Olga had been repeatedly being harassed by Elizabeth Duncan consistently and had actually gotten multiple death threats.
Yeah.
Given the number of people who had heard Elizabeth make all of these threats too, or something similar, Gustafsson really didn't have a lot of trouble as portraying Elizabeth Duncan as a viciously overprotective mother with a deep hatred for Olga.
I don't even know if you can, calling her an overprotective mother, even viciously overprotective, is even the correct thing to say.
She wasn't
monster.
Just
protecting that child. She had a weird attachment to that child that is unnatural.
Well, and that's the thing. Like
that is not a natural motherly protection.
And there's nothing to protect him from. He willingly got married.
Yeah.
He willingly decided to have a child.
He's a grown man.
Like, what's the problem here?
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Frank, he was noticeably absent from the grand jury hearing after he learned what had happened to Olga and that his mother was being brought on charges for it. He just disappeared.
Wow.
Yeah. According to Elizabeth's lawyer, Esward Sullivan, Frank had moved out of the apartment that he'd rented with Olga and hadn't been seen since the body was recovered. I'm also like, he moved out, but she wasn't living there.
Yeah.
He lived with mommy.
Exactly.
Now, the trial began in late February of 1959, and by that time, Frank had resurfaced and was standing by mommy, fiercely supportive of her claims of innocence. In that time, in the time that had passed since the indictment, Louis Moya and Gus Baldonado had actually withdrawn their pleas of innocent and actually pleaded guilty to the charges. But their lawyers had signaled their intent to refile pleas of not guilty by reason of insanity, which is like, no.
Yeah.
You had
You got paid to do something horrific.
And you had every chance to stop.
Yeah.
This isn't a crime of passion, a crime of insanity, none of the above. But that meant that when it came time for the trial for the murder of Olga, Elizabeth would stand alone in the courtroom because she was the only one maintaining innocence. Now, once the jury was selected and the case really got started, it proved to be a lot more sensational and bizarre than anyone had expected. In addition to the already bizarre facts of the case and the salacious and scandalous rumors surrounding Elizabeth and Frank's weird fucking relationship, the investigation also turned up some previously unknown facts about Elizabeth that, while not exactly relevant here, were still very fascinating for reporters.
Yeah, hey, I want to know.
Among other things, Elizabeth had been married 11 times.
Holy shit.
Homegirl was married 11 times.
Okay.
She also had dated one of Frank's law school classmates while they were in school together.
Okay. Ding, 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 ding. Salacious and scandalous rumors? Nope. I think we're just seeing it for what it is.
Yeah.
You're dating one of his classmates?
I'm also like, were you trying to make him jealous?
What the fuck?
I think she was trying to make Frank jealous in a weird way.
Ew.
So Gustafsson seemed to relish telling the jury, and I would have too.
Yeah.
It wasn't relevant to the case, but it was interesting.
Still, you're like, gross.
So the district attorney also seemed entirely willing to share gossip and unverified rumors about Elizabeth that I personally believe, including the fact that she had paid for Frank's law school by conning several men out of money and writing bad checks.
Damn.
Given that she had stiffed everybody she'd promised money to in the murder of Olga, I'm pretty sure that's true.
Yeah.
Like, she's just known to not make good on her word.
It's something to think about.
Now, as far as the facts of the case and the people called to the witness stand, there was no shortage of drama there either. In the early days of the trial, Gustafsson called Barbara Reed to testify. She was the woman who Elizabeth was like, hey, could you throw some acid in my daughter-in-law's face?
And she was like, I'll think about it.
Yeah. So Barbara told the jury all about that. And then she brought up Elizabeth's daughter, Patty, who had died sadly at age 15. And Elizabeth obviously cried at the defendant's table, but her tears were quickly replaced with fiery anger as soon as Barbara claimed that Elizabeth tried to hire her to commit murder.
Oh.
The testimony was continuously interrupted by Elizabeth having some kind of outburst. She would yell at the prosecutor. She would cry about the loss of her daughter, the love for her son, and also at random times she would just loll.
And there's pictures.
She was having a loll fest
with her head thrown back, laughing.
Yeah,
in the courtroom.
Yeah, she's something. She wasn't the only one in the courtroom whose hysterics added to the drama. At various points throughout the trial, Frank's audible weeping also disrupted the proceedings. At one point during Louis Moya's testimony, where he gave a detailed account of the kidnapping and the murder, Frank fled the courtroom in tears, saying, not over the death of his wife. Hold on.
What? Because I'm like, like, obviously, I would also be that way.
He said, it is inconceivable that my mother could associate with a man like that. What a cold-blooded man. Mommy would never like him.
Wait a minute. So my mother would never be friends with a creep like that. Is his concern.
Uh-huh. It's mind-boggling.
I don't even know what to say about that.
Nor do I.
I don't.
Nor do I, brother.
Holy shit.
So the testimony from the killers really didn't leave a lot of doubt for the jury as to the role of Elizabeth in Olga's death. Louis Moya told the court, at first she said she would like to scare her out of the way. After we gained each other's confidence, though, she said she would like me to get rid of her and would leave it up to us what to do.
Jesus.
According to Moya, Elizabeth said that Olga was blackmailing Frank and trying to ruin his career, and that's why she wanted her out of the way, but she had some ideas as to how they could go about it. Moya said, she told me she had acid, rope, and sleeping pills if we decided we could use them. The pills were to be for an overdose, the rope to tie her, and the acid to disfigure her face and fingerprints.
Now, here's the thing. That's so fucked up, I can't even conceive of it. And also, the whole acid in the face thing, she is so jealous of Olga.
Absolutely.
That is such a clear psychological, manifestation of that. She wants to disfigure her because your son is in love with her.
100,000%.
And that pisses you off.
And that thought process is inconceivable.
It is so alien to me that I can't even get on the same planet as it. I just cannot.
Why are you so jealous of your
son's wife? This is an
wife?
Unnatural relationship.
It's so fucked.
And there's something deeply, deeply dark and fucked up about it.
We've told a couple of these mother and son cases, and they freak me out to no end.
That freaks me the fuck out.
I hate it. Now, in his testimony, Gus Baldonado was a lot less forthcoming. He mostly just responded to questions with, I don't remember, and I don't recall. But when it came to Elizabeth's involvement, he was a lot less cagey. He said they both asked why they couldn't just scare Olga to the point where she fled and didn't return. And Elizabeth told them, no, I've tried that and it's not possible.
Wow.
It was clear that what Elizabeth wanted was for her daughter-in-law to be killed and, like you said, disfigured beyond recognition.
Yeah, that's some Freudian shit right there.
It is.
Some flavors can only be crafted by nature. One sunny day, a honeybee discovered a mysterious apple blossom and carried its pollen to a Honeycrisp tree. Months later, something extraordinary was born. The sugar bee apple, with notes of honey, caramel, and molasses, balanced by bright sweetness and an extra crisp crunch. Sugar bee apples elevate everything from charcuterie boards and salads to baked treats and everyday snacking. Ready for some inspiration? Download our free recipe book and discover delicious ways to enjoy sugar bee apples at hellosugarbee.com. Sugar bee apples, from bee to you.
I'm Livy Dunn, All-American gymnast and Viore athlete. When you travel and train as much as I do, you find happiness where you are. On the mat or on the sand, movement and comfort are essential. That's why I live in Performance Joggers by Viore. Made from DreamNet fabric that's made of 89% recycled materials, effortlessly soft and made to move as much as I do. My happiness starts here, in the softest joggers on the planet. Get 20% off your first purchase at Viore.com/Livy. That's VUORI.com/LIVVY. Exclusions apply. Not only will you receive 20% off your first purchase, but enjoy free shipping on U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. Go to Viore.com/Livy and discover the full versatility of Viore clothing. Exclusions apply. Visit the website for full terms and conditions.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today, and let us surprise you.
So the dramatics continued when Emma took the stand toward the end of the trial to testify against her BFF Elizabeth. Her BFF Jill. At one point during her testimony, as she was describing how she went with Elizabeth to meet with the killers, Elizabeth jumped out of her chair and shouted, "You're a liar!"
Shut the fuck up.
And her attorney was literally trying to restrain her.
Was shut the fuck up.
Hey, you're not doing any favors for yourself. When she was admonished by the judge and warned about future outbursts, Elizabeth replied, "This woman has my clothes on right now, and she is a liar. I feel like tearing them right off of her."
I love that she's like, she has my clothes on.
She said, "Bitch stole my look."
This bitch is saying that you are a literal, murderess.
Legit.
And it's you're but you're wearing my goddamn sweater.
Yeah.
I want it back.
Exactly.
What
right
the
now.
fuck?
I may not be able to wear my own clothes soon,
but I want it.
So despite all the outbursts, all the antics, Elizabeth insisted on testifying on her own behalf.
Honestly, good.
These bitches always do.
Dig that grave for yourself.
And she took the stand on March 3rd, which is weird because today is March 3rd.
We don't do this on purpose.
Plan this.
I don't know why this happens.
In fact, we were supposed to record this like a couple days ago, I think.
Holy shit.
Hello.
What is that?
Now, according to Elizabeth, she did once have a plan to truss up her son, Frank, and take him out of Santa Barbara, quote, in the hope that he would come to his senses and leave his wife. She never went through with that, she said.
No.
I love that she was going to truss up her son.
Yeah.
Hello?
Truss him up.
She even went as far as admitting that she tried to enlist Barbara Reed in the plan, but she insisted that she never went through with it, and certainly she never arranged for the kidnapping and murder of Olga.
No, I love that she's like, of course I asked Barbara to throw acid in her face and toss her off a fucking cliff, but I would never go so far as to organize a kidnapping and murder.
She wasn't even admitting to that. She was saying that she was saying Barbara was lying about everything, and that she had only gone to Barbara to truss up Frank. Nothing.
Truss up Frank?
Yeah, that's what she's saying.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Like they were going to kidnap him and scare him into leaving Olga, is what she's saying. Now, according to Elizabeth, the entire plot had everything to do with keeping her sonny at home and nothing to do with Olga personally. Olga was fine. She didn't care about her.
Yeah, she's like,
she just doesn't want her son to be with him.
Yeah.
Or with her, excuse me. She told the court, if I had to live alone, I wanted to die. I'm petrified if I have to be by myself at night.
Babe, you're going to be by yourself for a long time.
A long, long time. She claimed she never wanted Olga to be murdered, but she didn't make any secrets about how she felt about her daughter-in-law. She said when she learned that Olga had become pregnant before they were married, she confronted Olga and she yelled to the court, I told her I didn't want a daughter-in-law of her character, and she called me a bad name, and she said she would marry my son whether I liked it or not.
You know what I would have called you?
A bitch.
A cunt.
Whoa.
C-U-N-T.
The worst name.
C-U-N-T. That's what I would have called you.
Honestly. I hope she did call her that. I love that she was like, in death, being like, listen, I didn't murder her, but I fucking hated her.
Yeah. She's like
you're not doing yourself any favors here,
She
miss.
thinks it's going to help, though, because she's like, look, I'm being honest about how I felt.
Yep. So the testimony got heated the next day when Roy Gustafson cross-examined Elizabeth. At one point, he said he was going over answers to questions that she'd been asked the previous day in relation to her son, Frankie. Frank leapt to his feet and shouted, just a minute, Mr. Gustafson. My name is Frank, not Frankie. I'm a big boy,
He's like,
sir.
Only mommy gets to call me Frankie, Mr.
Ew, I hate it.
Poo to you.
In response, Gustafson was like, hey, can you eject him from the courtroom?
Can you get that poussoir the fuck out of this courtroom?
But the judge would not.
Ugh.
Going forward, though, whenever Gustafson referred to Frank as anything other than Frank, Elizabeth sharply corrected him and said, Frank is an attorney and an officer of the same court as you are, Mr. Gustafson. I think you should have some respect for him. So, as anyone could have predicted, Elizabeth proved to be a pretty difficult witness under cross-examination. She would refuse to answer questions, and she would only answer them after the judge was like, hey, you have to fucking answer that. At one point, when the prosecutor was like, there was no blackmail, you were just supposed to make payments for the murder that you hired somebody for, she said, I did not do that. Yeah. Even though her testimony was riddled with outbursts and sarcastic remarks, frequent bouts of weeping, all of the above, she did manage to stick to her story more or less. Her protests and her insistence that she was the victim were consistent, but they were nothing compared to the mountain of evidence and testimony linking her to the murder of Olga. So on March 17th, 1959, after a brief deliberation, the jury returned to the courtroom to find Elizabeth Duncan guilty of the first-degree murder of Olga Kupczyk. The verdict kind of shocked everybody in the court, but Elizabeth seemed to primarily focus on, you guessed it, her sonny boy. After the verdict was read, she told him, don't worry too much, Frank.
Lord.
Later, when she was asked about the verdict, she told a reporter, I don't know how that jury could do this to me. I didn't do it.
You did.
Okay. In the week that followed, the jury heard arguments in the penalty phase, first to determine if Elizabeth was of sound mind when she committed the crime. I bet that probably went on for a long time.
Yeah.
Then to determine the actual penalty. In his testimony, psychiatrist Dr. Lewis Nash said of the evaluation, I found Mrs. Duncan to be a maladjusted, egocentric, and emotionally immature individual.
Hell yeah, you did.
The defendant particularly has been unable to stand frustrations or maintain her emotional equilibrium and independence during major and minor stresses.
Yeah.
But when asked whether he believed Elizabeth met the criteria for mental incompetency, he said, I did not find her to be insane. So he said, she's sane. She's just a lot.
Yeah, she's just very difficult.
Yeah. There's something going on for sure, but she's sane. So according to Dr. Nash, Elizabeth's personality was the same as most criminals and those who he came in frequent contact with in his line of work. He said, a psychopathic personality is a social misfit who causes problems for themselves and the world they live in.
Yeah, and that's her.
Right. And it's like, you can be a psychopath but still be sane. And I know that's hard to understand, but it's the facts.
Yeah.
So now that she was determined to have been sane, but really a lot, when she contracted Lewis and Gus to kill Olga, the jury followed the prosecutor's wishes, and they sentenced Elizabeth to death.
Whoa.
Yeah. When asked for a reaction by reporters, she was defiant. She said, they are not going to make me cry. Those jurors were prejudiced. I think they all lied when they said they would give me a fair trial. Liars, all of them. So. After her trial, Lewis and Gus were also determined to be sane at the time of the murder, and they too were sentenced to death.
Yeah, you're all going down together.
Yeah. According to author Deborah Holt Larkin, which of course we'll link her book in the show notes, she wrote, Duncan's trial might never have stood up to today's legal standards, which is pretty true.
Yeah.
It's highly likely that Gustafsson kind of tainted the jury a little bit with his repeated release of irrelevant facts about Elizabeth.
When you really do look at the legal part of that, like really pare it down to the skeleton there, you can't do that. Yeah. Like, we can look at it now and be like, well, yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about it, but if we were presenting legally, this case to a jury, we really couldn't say those things. You can't do that. They're not pertinent to the case, unfortunately. The guilty verdict and the death sentence could have been more the result of a character assassination than a strong case put forward by the prosecution. But you also have to remember at the same time, it could have had a lot to do with the fact that Olga was 8 months pregnant when she was killed.
Yeah.
And the heaping mountain of evidence against Elizabeth.
Absolutely. I mean, you have several people who are telling and are showing a pretty clear paper trail and a pretty clear trail of evidence that lead back to this.
Right. And when
her
the jury...
best friends are saying that she knew that she was there.
A woman who was literally there when she hired these men is like, I was right there and she's my friend and I'm actually wearing her sweater right now.
Yeah. She also was there for the annulment thing. So she's been there. She's been a pretty ride or die friend. And at this point, she's like, I got to tell you because I'm under fucking
oath.
Yeah, I can't perjure myself that this is what happened. So it's like, this isn't out of nowhere. It's not like they're just like, you're a bitch and you have a weird unnatural attraction to your son.
Yes.
So we're going to pretend that you're a murderer. Like, there was evidence, but I do understand that they're saying, like, the case could have been tighter, I think.
The case definitely could have been tighter. But I really do think a lot of it had to do with Olga having been 8 months pregnant.
Absolutely.
If I was sitting on that jury, that would absolutely factor into my decision making. How could it not?
Yeah.
So after sentencing, Elizabeth's lawyer petitioned the court for a new trial. Obviously, that always happens. At appeal, the defense argued, among other things, that the jury had been prejudiced by all the news coverage and that Elizabeth hadn't got a fair trial. In the spring of 1960, the California Court of Appeals heard the case, and after reviewing the evidence and hearing testimony, they concluded that the prosecution and the trial court had followed standard procedure with regard to the jury, and that the judge was well within his rights to deny the request to move the trial.
There you go. I mean, some of the things that they let out, they were gossipy, they were rumors, whatever. Not a lot of them would lead me to believe that somebody would do this to their daughter-in-law.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it makes me think she's a bitch and that she's an unlikely, likable, and very untrustworthy person.
But there's also all the evidence of her guilt.
Yeah.
So with her appeal denied, Elizabeth's lawyer petitioned California's Governor Pat Brown for clemency. We've talked about Pat Brown before.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, he actually had expressed sympathy for those on death row, and he frequently sided with the anti-death penalty movement, particularly in the case of Carol Chessman, the so-called red light bandit.
We talked about that.
When the clemency case came up for his review in this case, Pat Brown's assistant evaluated the case and, quote, acknowledged there had been serious irregularities in the trial, but ultimately decided that the evidence was so overwhelming that Elizabeth Duncan acted with malicious, predatory intent. So they denied the request.
Yeah, I mean, again,
it's everything we're saying.
There was some extra little spice in there that didn't need to be there that could have and now probably would fuck up the trial.
A big time.
But the meat of the trial was there.
Exactly. And it was, again, a very different time.
Yeah.
So she exhausted all of her appeals at that point, and Elizabeth Duncan was sent to the gas chamber on the morning of August 8th, 1962, and so were Louis Moya and Gus Baldonado.
Whoa.
Elizabeth's last words before the gas was released Where's Frank?
That makes
hits.
sense. That makes sense.
And then the cyanide pellets were dropped, and that was a wrap on Elizabeth.
Damn.
A few minutes later, at 10:12, the prison doctor announced all 3 were dead. And Elizabeth Duncan was actually the last woman executed in the state of California.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
What a distinction.
Now, in state records, it seems that she was buried on the grounds of San Quentin prison, but there's actually no records of her grave being in the cemetery.
Huh.
The general consensus is that Frank actually claimed her remains after the execution and that he had her buried in a private cemetery.
Not one part of me believes that didn't. Like, that absolutely happened.
Now, what about Frank, you may ask?
What about Frank?
Frank remained committed to his mother's innocence for the rest of his life. But the case, Elizabeth's notoriety, all of that obviously negatively affected him in the years that followed. Because remember, he's a lawyer. That ruined his career pretty much. Immediately after Elizabeth was arrested, he was let go from the legal firm that he worked for. And in the years that followed, he was repeatedly sanctioned by the California bar for previous offenses. Until May of 2022, when disciplinary charges were filed that resulted in his being found ineligible to practice law in California.
Whoa.
The following year, he was disbarred, but the reasons for the disciplinary actions and the disbarment are not public information.
Wow.
Yeah. So that is the case of Olga Kupczyk's murder.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So it's just really, it's just such a tragic case with Olga. Just being terrorized in the final year or so of her life.
Yep.
And then ultimately
8 months
murdered,
pregnant,
8 months
being
pregnant.
kidnapped and murdered. Like, what the fuck?
It's really sad.
Yeah. It's awful.
So let's do a fun fact.
Yes.
Bees actually have knees. You know how people say like the bee's knees, and you're always like,
fun
what?
Fact.
Yeah. This expression, the bee's knees, comes from the fact that they store large buildups of pollen in hairy baskets on their knees.
Hairy baskets?
Mm-hmm.
They have just hairy baskets hanging from their knees?
Don't you?
That is a fun fact.
I love it.
That's a fun fact that keeps on giving.
Yeah, bees in fact have knees.
I like that a lot.
That came from thefactsite.com.
I love that.
And with that, we definitely hope you keep listening.
Yeah, and we hope you
keep
it
weird. But not so weird that you don't think about the fact that bees have knees. I'll
true.
think about that forever.
Think about it forever.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. One thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. For decades, Angie's helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find a pro for your project at Angie.com.
Walmart shoppers, meet the debit card designed with you in mind. The Walmart Money Card offers up to $75 cash back on purchases at Walmart each year. Early direct deposit, overdraft protection, and so much more. When Walmart is your everyday store, you need a card to match. That's the Walmart Money Card. Open your account today. The Walmart Money Card is issued by Green Dot Bank, member FDIC. Fees, terms, and conditions apply. Visit walmartmoneycard.com to learn more.